Welcome to the Munro Review, where it's all about connecting, sharing, and valuing the arts in the Central San Joaquin Valley. I'm Donald Munro. Today is February 27th, and we are here to talk about the busy art scene in March. We will be hearing tonight from members of the Fresno Master Chorale, and they are here to talk about a concert with the theme of homelessness. We will travel to the Fresno Art Museum for an in-depth field story, taking a look at the big new exhibition there. And we will welcome our friends from the Rogue Festival, which kicks off March 6th and promises a huge variety of shows. But first, let's recap some of what I've been covering at MunroReview.com. You can win tickets this month and every month. For 2020, I've started a new feature in which I bundle most of my ticket giveaways into one convenient monthly post. For March, you still have the opportunity to win tickets to such events as keyboard concerts, the College of the Sequoias production of Stupid Effin' Bird, the Fresno Philharmonic's Big Pink Martini Pops concert, Fresno Town Hall, Carmina Burana and Detroit 67 at Fresno State, the Fresno Community Concert Band, the Fresno Master Chorale, which we're going to hear in a few minutes. The list just goes on and on. For details, go to the March giveaway post at MunroReview.com. Members of the Munro Review can enter, and there is a free membership available. On the site, you'll find lots of stories I posted in February. I reviewed a very funny production of a show called Puffs at Selma Art Center, which just ended a 3-weekend run. This send-up of the Harry Potter universe managed to poke fun at pretty much all things J.K. Rowling, including Harry, Hogwarts, Voldemort, and, of course, Hermione. Did anyone ever ask why those kids never seemed to take stuff like math when they went to school? The production included some fine leading performances from Josh Ploman, Wachikuku Opuda, and Michael Frandon Fidalgo. My favorite moment came when various wizards were casting spells at each other, and instead of the famous Expelliarmus, see, I can't even say it, you hear someone yell, "Existential crisis." Other stories of interest from the month, I wrote about big changes for the dance program at Fresno State, with a piece about the Contemporary Dance Ensemble's annual concert. I reviewed Songs for a New World by Shine Theater Company. I put the spotlight on the Youth Orchestras of Fresno, which brought in violin superstar Vadim Gluzman to perform with a lot of very talented students. And I told you about Jimmy Haney and Ariam Andrews. They are two Fresno State theater students who are going to the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. for the premier acting competition in the National American College Theater Festival. That's a lot of stuff in February. Now, let's welcome our first guests. The Fresno Master Chorale presents a timely and provocative concert about the issue of homelessness. Alan Peters, Chris Simmons, and Holly Jameson join us. Thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So, the Fresno Master Chorale has a tradition of presenting concerts that are really pretty meaty and intense. Wouldn't you say, Alan?
Would think so, yes. We call ourselves the voice of the valley. And so we try to provide a really diverse exposure to the community, to all of the great repertory of the chorale tradition.
Right. So this concert is titled?
It's called Finding Refuge.
Finding Refuge. And the idea is that you are tackling the issue of homelessness, which is one of the big hot button issues of the day.
Every day.
And there is a work that we're focusing on and highlighting in the concert, and that is Henry Mollicone's Beatitude Mass for the Homeless. And it's an interesting kind of concept because he takes some of the traditional Latin Mass and juxtaposes throughout it solos by a baritone and a soprano who represent people that have been interviewed that are homeless. And so their words come out during the course of the particular work, talking about what homelessness is like, what their lives are like, how they got there, what their hopes are. It's a wonderful, wonderful exposure of homelessness to a concert crowd, which isn't used to getting that kind of a message too often.
So Holly, you are one of those soloists. Mm-hmm. Tell us about this character that you play and that you sing.
Sure. So I sing the role of Eve, and Lim Forgy, who is a baritone, will be singing the role of Adam. And Malakone chose those two characters because Adam and Eve were basically the first homeless people that there ever were. So that's what that stands for. And my character, she's going to be wearing, even though she is homeless, she's going to be wearing a fancy gown because it's as though she's still living in the past and she's still stuck in the present, and there seems to be no way forward. So that's what that will stand for. And Lim will be in homeless clothing and has his own storyline with that. And I believe my character, her story is very transformative in the end, because while it starts out as a hopeless situation, I believe, just my own interpretation, that by the end of the piece, she has found her own peace and she's been able to move forward in life with the help of other people.
So can you tell us about the style of the music? So it uses the traditional Latin Mass, and then it weaves in these contemporary stories. Is the music itself contemporary?
Yes, very. I hear elements of jazz in it. I hear musical theater and modern opera. But by the same token, if you listen, you can hear composers of old in it too. He's really like, Poulenc comes to mind sometimes. He's really taken inspiration from a bunch of different places.
So it sounds like a very accessible piece of music for today's
accessible
audience. So Chris, you have this piece, which is the centerpiece, and then does the rest of the program also kind of carry through?
Yeah,
with
that
the
theme of finding refuge is carried through in two other pieces that are by Ola Yeho, who's a modern composer. We just did some pieces of his last fall.
Fantastic.
The feedback we got was amazing. So it's Dark Night of the Soul and then Luminous Night of the Soul. So again, that message of hope still pulls through, but they are just stunningly beautiful pieces that will complete the concert.
So, Alan, do you think this is a tough sell for audiences? I mean, the theme is not something that people are used to when they go to a choral concert.
Well, you know, right now, you can't pick up the paper, you can't listen to the news without hearing about homelessness. The governor's State of the State report last week was filled, they said it focused almost entirely on the issues of homelessness. Our city council is dealing with it, the Board of Supervisors is dealing with it, because the state is providing some significant amounts of additional money. So that what we've also decided to do with this concert is to mobilize the agencies in town that are serving the homeless and to involve them in the concert. So there will be a photographic exhibit in the foyer. There will be tables set up by agencies that provide services to the homeless. We're going to have a pre-concert talk at 1:30 the day of the concert, where it'll be a panel discussion and representatives from those agencies will be talking about how important is homelessness in Fresno, what are the services that are available, what do we hope to do with the money we're going to be getting. So there's a lot of community interest right now, not only here in Fresno, but throughout the state and around the country.
So Holly, has this experience so far, the rehearsal process, has it changed either your attitudes or your outlook on this topic?
Yes, a little bit, because studying the text of this piece and knowing that it came from an actual homeless person is causing me to internalize it more as the character, and it really does hit me hard once I'm in that mode.
Right.
Yeah.
We're at the point in rehearsals where Lim and Holly we're singing through the Mass, and it's sometimes hard for us that are in the chorus to not get a little choked up.
It sounds,
because the theme is such, and the music is so beautiful.
yeah, it sounds tremendously moving.
Yep.
So Chris, can you remind us when is the concert and where is
I
it
would
and all that
love
good
to.
stuff?
So our concert's March 29th. It's a Sunday afternoon at 2:30 at the Sheboygan. The pre-concert talk is at 1:30. You don't want to miss that, especially this time. It's good to get there early and see all that we have in the lobby. And tickets are on sale at our website. It's fresnocommunitychorus.org. We're also on Facebook, and we're trying to highlight even on our social media the topic of homelessness and stories that are coming up and that Fresno is doing to help as we also talk about the concert.
Well, it sounds like a really worthwhile topic and something that people can really connect to. Thank you. Thank you for coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Now, let's move outside the studio for a moment. Producer Kyle Lowe and I got the chance to take a personal tour of Gifted, a new exhibition at the Fresno Art Museum. Here's our report. We are here at the Fresno Art Museum this afternoon to take a look at a remarkable and a remarkably large exhibition called Gifted. And we're here with Sarah Vargas. You're the curator here at the Fresno Art Museum. What is the show about?
Well, the exhibition is Gifted, Collecting the Art of California at Gardena High School, 1919 to 1956. So all of the senior students at Gardena High School were required to take an art appreciation course.
Which is pretty fantastic.
It is amazing.
It's hard to imagine that happening today.
Absolutely, and it was started by the principal of the school, James Whiteley. He felt it was very important that the students had a well-rounded education, and so he began this program in 1919. And the students were required to go out and visit artist studios, meet the artists, learn about their process, and at the end of the year, they would select a painting to purchase from the artist and gift it to the school as their senior class gift. Now, in 1928, they started doing what was called a purchase prize exhibition, where instead of going out to visit the artist studios, they instead invited artists to submit paintings to the school, which they then put on an exhibition of these works that was up for about 2 weeks. At the end of the exhibition, they would host a dinner, and they sold tickets to that for the community. The artists would often attend. The money that they raised from the tickets, the class would then use to purchase a painting from that invitational.
So just to reiterate, this is not a high school art show. This is
the
real thing.
It's
Okay.
the real deal.
Well, let's take a look at some of the paintings, see what we can discover.
So Lingering Snows, this was the class gift of winter 1923. So to kind of explain what that meant, Gardena High School senior class eventually was split into two different classes, the winter class and the summer class. They graduated at different times. It was to accommodate the class size and also some of the students that had to work in the fields. And so we got two paintings in most of the years because each of the classes would present a gift. So this painting has a very fun story behind it. It was one of the paintings that the students saw in the artist studio. I believe he was still working on it at the time, in fact. It was unfinished. They were so impressed by it that they sort of went around protocol. They were supposed to go look at various different paintings, pick their favorites, go back to the school, meet with the council that did the ultimate selection, and then choose a painting. But while they were at the artist studio, they fell completely in love and they knew this is the painting they wanted. So the student body president, without letting the teacher know this was the plan, walked up to the artist and said, we have $200, will you take it? And the artist very luckily agreed.
So California Impressionism, can you tell us anything about that? How is that different than French Impressionism?
Well, it's still very much focused on light, but there was, as you can probably tell, a huge focus on the landscape and the natural beauty of California. And it still had the loose brush strokes, the less defined details that tied it to Impressionism. And like I said, the emphasis on light. So this painting is by John Hubbard Rich, and it was the gift of the summer 1924 class. And this was the first painting that wasn't a landscape. So it's not technically California Impressionism. The background and the figure kind of suggest more of a traditional Impressionist approach to painting. And the subject matter appears to be a girl of Hispanic descent, which was significant because there was a huge Hispanic population in Gardena. at the time. So this was a nod to their cultural heritage.
And again, to think about the time that this took place in, that was significant in itself.
Yes. So it's a beautiful painting.
I know that this actually has kind of a major thematic message.
It does. Yes, it's known as a small mural. It's by Eleanor Ruth Eaton Gump Colburn. It's a very long name.
What a name.
It's called Gold, the New Era. So this painting is unique because it was actually not purchased by the students. This was a gift by the Works Project Administration, and they donated 4 or 5 paintings to the school. It was during the time where they were going out and painting murals on federal buildings, on schools.
And this was during the Depression.
During the Depression.
And it was a way
yes.
to put artists to work.
Yes. And because Gardena had an art collection, instead of giving them a mural on their building, they decided to donate paintings instead. So here we have Beethoven. And this is a painting by Carlo Wastri, and it was the gift of the summer 1930 class. It is most people's favorite, many people's favorite, I shall say. In fact, the alumni as a whole generally call this painting their favorite as well. So, as you can see, not a landscape. We've again transitioned. And Beethoven, he has a very serious look on his face. He's walking with purpose down the street. An interesting fact is that the painter got a hold of actual clothes that belonged to Beethoven and used them on a model to create this painting.
So that is Beethoven's coat.
That is Beethoven's coat. I think it might be Beethoven's hat too.
Well, he looks as grumpy as I would imagine Beethoven is.
Yes. And this is a very young Beethoven. So you see there's a figure that's looking out the window, but she's not looking at him. She's looking away.
Because later on he would have been so famous
exactly.
that people would have recognized him.
But here he's just some cranky guy walking down the street. Here, one of my favorites in this room is that piece in the back corner. It's called Cats at Play. It was another one that was donated by the Federal Works Project. And so that, again, this was not purchased by the students themselves. It was a gift to the collection. But I think it's really beautiful. It's definitely a departure from the style previously. It has a much more modernist feel to it. Many, many people liken her to Snow White.
Yeah, there is kind of almost a Disney princess
and those,
look to it.
The Disney artists of the time, they would have been well known. That style would have been very prevalent. So it's possible it was an influence, you never know.
Well, there is a whole nother room that we could explore, but I think we'll let people come down to the museum and check that out. How long does the show run?
It'll run through June 28th, and there are 69 paintings.
69 paintings. So it is something that you want to set aside some time and just really kind of wander. I like to think of those students, all of those students over the years who spent so many hours trying to decide which paintings to pick.
It's a great story. I mean, the paintings themselves individually are magnificent. But when you look at it as part of the whole, part of this entire narrative of this school and these students, it's just an amazing, amazing story. It's one of those shows that you really have to maybe schedule a couple of visits at the museum. I would highly recommend that. Yeah, I'm sure they'd love that too. Well, thank you for being here with us. Oh, absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Gifted continues through June 28th. It's time to welcome our next guests. If it's the beginning of March, it must be the Rogue Festival. We have 2 veterans of this distinctly Fresno institution with us in the studio, Jaguar Bennett and Victor DeRoche. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So President Jaguar, I guess I could say, you're president of the board.
Yeah.
You've really worked your way up in the Rogue.
Well, this is an institution I really believe in. I know I have a reputation for not believing in anything, but I believe in the Rogue. So
And we should say that you are famous for your sardonic humor that you do, and you've had a number of rogue shows. How many shows have you done?
I would calculate probably upwards of 10, and it's a wonderful thing because I write all my own material. And the Rogue is a wonderful venue if you have a message to deliver, because there's no censorship. No one's telling you what you can and cannot say. And so if you've got something perhaps difficult for an audience to hear, you can say it.
So, Victor, you have been doing shows even longer than Jaguar, right?
I did my first show in 2004, so this year will be my 17th show.
And tell us the name of your show this year.
My show this year is called One-Legged Man Drives a Stick Shift, and it's a show about amputation, loss, remembrance, ex-girlfriends, wives, and former lovers, with lots of music in there as well.
You had me at the amputation, so I think that sounds really interesting. So what does a rogue performer who comes back every year, what do you do in terms of keeping the show fresh? Is it an all-new show every time?
I do an all-new show every time. I've worked with a variety of people wherever I'm at in my artistic life. I've worked with a duo I was in. I worked for 9 years with my band Boxcar Figaro. We did shows every year. The last couple of years I've been with a more ensemble group called Art or Evidence that we put together to do rogue shows. And then this year I'm doing really my first solo show, but I'm bringing in other people. I'm bringing in a different guitar player for each show. And these guitar players have all never seen the show or heard the music, so it's going to be a real collaborative, kind of surprising experience for everybody. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So it's a show that they don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't know what they're going to do.
So lots of creative energy.
That's what we're hoping for.
So, Jaguar, this is the 19th
Yes.
Rogue Festival. There are still people out there, believe it or not, who don't know what it is, never heard of it. What is your pitch? How do you explain the Rogue to people?
The Rogue is an explosion of weirdness where absolutely anything can happen. It is a phantasmagoria of multiple shows happening in multiple venues simultaneously. On a typical Rogue day, we start shows at 1:30. They run till 10 at night. And we have 10 different venues. And shows happen in rapid rotation. No shows longer than an hour, and there's only a half-hour gap between shows. So the idea is that you can see a lot of different shows in the course of one day. They're all very cheap, no over $12. And it's a huge variety. We have music, dance, theater, spoken word, stand-up comedy, magic, belly dancing, puppet shows, and things that are simply too strange to be described. You just have to see.
Now, and you mentioned the length of the shows, and that can be great too, because if you can take a chance on something.
Exactly. The great thing about the Rogue is it's a place for artists to experiment. Sometimes that means it's a place for artists to fail. And the fun thing for the audience is you get to judge people. So it's really great to go out, see a few shows, get a bite to eat, have a drink in the Tower District, talk with your friends. What worked about that show? What didn't work? Evaluate.
So there is a new venue
Yes.
this year. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we are very happy that we are going to have a tent in the back patio of Goldstein's Mortuary and Delicatessen on Washon in the Tower District. It's a lovely venue where you can get some absolutely delicious craft beer while enjoying many fine performances.
So, Victor, do you make some time to go out and see a bunch of other shows, even when you're performing?
I do. I definitely make sure that I go out and see a bunch of shows. I've photographed the Rogue Festival for many years, so I go out and try to catch as many shows as I can. But there's a few shows that will be in my program that I'll even set the camera down and just go watch.
And Jaguar, you have another show this year, and one of the distinctive things about it is you're doing it with your wife.
Yes, and we'll see if I'm still married at the end
absolutely.
of this process.
So what is the title of that?
Jaguar and Heather Save Your Marriage. I'll let you in on a secret. Everyone does relationships wrong, except for my wife and me. We are America's perfect couple, and we're going to share our rules for a perfect relationship.
It sounds like you will dispense a lot of interesting advice there.
Oh yeah, there are many misconceptions. People think that marriage is about being yourself, and they could not be more wrong.
Well, I am looking forward to that one as well. Well, when we come back after the break, Victor, you're actually going to do a song for us. Can you tell us a little bit? Give us a preview or explain what you're going to be doing.
I'm going to do it's the first song from my show. I want to talk, I've been thinking a lot this year about ex-girlfriends, my ex-wives, things like that. And I thought, if I'm going to talk about that, I should probably better first play the latest love song I wrote for my present wife that I've been married to for 22 years.
Okay,
So
well, that sounds
that's where
like,
we're starting.
That's like something to look forward to. And Jaguar, just to close things out, we wanted to show the Rogue Festival program.
Yes.
You can get this online in PDF form, or there are obviously paper
There is a
of it.
paper versions. You can get those in many areas throughout town. They're in coffee shops, especially in the Tower District. But you can get it online at our website, FresnoRogueFestival.com.
And essentially, this is a list of everything that's going on. Any tips for that first-time Rogue goer? What should you do?
The most important thing is you do need a wristband. The wristband is your admission to the whole festival. The important thing about the Rogue is that 100% of the ticket prices goes to the performer. But to keep the Rogue going, we have to charge people something for attendance. So get a wristband. You can get them at any Rogue venue. You can buy them online. You can buy tickets online. All details are at our website, of course.
And the preview show is this coming Thursday, March 5th.
That's correct, at the Tower Theater at 7 o'clock. And this is a great way to just get a quick sampler of everything that's happening at the festival.
And then the Rogue itself goes through the 20th.
Yes.
I'm sorry, through the 14th.
Indeed it does.
March 14th. Mm-hmm. Well, great. Well, we will be hearing a song in a moment from Victor. But first, let's take a look at the list, a preview of cultural events in March. Keyboard Concerts has a busy month. Organist Monica Chouts performs March 8th, and Rafal Blechatz, who won the 2005 Chopin International Piano Competition, performs March 27th. Shall We Dance? Good Company Players opens the classic King and I on March 19th. There are 2 Fresno Philharmonic events to tell you about. Proxima is a free concert of new music performed by the musicians of the Fresno Philharmonic and music director Ray Hatoda. This exciting chamber group will perform March 12th at the Fresno Art Museum. And the orchestra's much anticipated pop concert featuring the well-known Pink Martini is March 21st. And at Fresno State, the play Detroit 67 opens March 20th. When we come back, a musical performance. Now let's welcome back Victor DeRoche for a sneak preview of his Rogue performance.
Say what you want, say what you will. Pick out anything your heart desires and I will pay the bill. Go where you like, run through the trees. I would take you anywhere you want if you ask me, please. You and I walking by a plate glass window, we look so right. Steps in sync, reflecting in pink neon light. And I take your hand, oh, I'm still a fan, and have been from the start. And I've never had a change of heart. what's come before and what comes next. Don't worry me, you see, I've learned to live well, watching you at your best. A book in the sun, a cat in your lap, two souls growing older and happy to just be doing that. You and I walking by a plate glass window, we look so right. Steps in sync, reflecting in pink neon light. And I take your hand, oh, I'm still a big fan, and have been from the start. And I've never had a change of heart.
Thank you so much, Victor. Well, that wraps it up for this month's episode of the Munro Review. Be sure to keep up online at munroreview.com for previews, giveaways, profiles, reviews, and more. A big thank you to our volunteer crew. Thank you. And a thank you to all of our guests, Alan Peters, Chris Simmons, and Holly Jamison of the Fresno Master Chorale, Sarah Vargas at the Fresno Art Museum, and Jaguar Bennett, and of course, Victor DeRoche of the Rogue Festival. And for all of you, please keep exploring and supporting the local art scene. We'll see you next time.